Hello, so in this video I'm going to show you what Kit's snippet feature is, and what different types of snippets you can create, how to create them, and then give you examples of how you can use them inside your Kit account. So for context, let me start by explaining exactly what a snippet is. It's essentially a reusable snippet, as the name would suggest, of content that you can reuse over and over again in any number of emails you wish, rather than having to copy and paste from one email to another. So what you'll find is when you start using email marketing, there'll be a lot of things that you make reference to regularly. I'm going to show you some examples of those. But rather than doing it repeatedly over and over again, if we save it as a snippet inside Kit, we can repurpose it as many times as we want, and as many emails as we want. Okay. Now, the two types of snippets you can create inside Kit. One is called a block snippet. And the other one's called an inline snippet. Now, as the names would suggest, the block snippet is essentially a standalone block of content that you can insert at any point into your emails. Okay, and the inline snippet is, as the name would suggest, can be placed inside like a paragraph of text, and you can create conditional content based on certain elements being true in a subscriber's profile, or personalize it using the personal data you've collected about each subscriber. Now that might sound more complex than it actually is. It's not. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. Once you start to see how this snippet feature works in some examples, it'll all begin to make sense. So let's take a look at creating our first snippet. Okay, so here we are inside Kit. So I'm going to create a snippet by clicking on this button here. It says new snippet. I'm going to select block. So we'll start with a block snippet first. It'll prompt you to give the snippet a name so that it's something meaningful. When you see it in a list of snippets, you can tell which this one's for. So I'm going to call this one link to email frequency video. Let's call it that. In this video, I share my thoughts on how often you should be sending emails to your subscribers. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to put any more text in, but you can imagine there could be a lot more text in there. And then what I typically do is either link to an article or most often a video, so a YouTube video I can share with people. So I'm going to click on the little plus icon here and then scroll down to video, this one here. And then I'm going to put a link into this video to a YouTube video that I can share with people. So let me just jump into YouTube quickly. Go to my channel. Videos, and let's see this one here. I'm going to copy the link for that one, and then in here I'm going to put that link in. Okay, so let me just delete the line that as well. So in here I've got, in this video I share my thoughts on how often you should be sending emails to your subscribers, and then the link for the subscriber to click on, and then I can just simply save that. Okay. So now you can see here it's called link to email frequency video. So now that we've got that snippet created, if I'm creating an email, let's say I'm going to open up I'll create a new broadcast email okay, so once inside the email, I would typically start that with a salutation of some sort. So let's say that. Make that a bit smaller. And then I'd be typing in there the content, whatever I would normally type in. And I might say something like, it's important to be a consistent email marketer and not ignore your subscribers for weeks on end, let's say. And I might say there, if you want to learn more about how I decide on my sending schedule, check out this. Now, once I've done that, I would then click on this little plus sign and I can scroll down to where it says snippet here, and then I can pick the snippet from the list, so link to email frequency video. So what that looks like to the subscriber is it's just one continuous flowing email where that snippet gets inserted into the middle of the email and they have no idea it's a snippet. And anytime I get asked that question or I want to make reference to it, I can just simply add that snippet into the email. I'll just open up this email and show you some other examples of how I use block snippets in my business. So down here you can see there's a range of email signatures, certain offers that I might put out into an email, some lead magnet stuff there. These ones that are prefixed AR are article references, so they'll point a subscriber to an article that I've created on my website rather than me having to sit and type that in. So if I just if I click on one of them, you'll see what that looks like. So that's just a link to an article on my website. Let me see other examples in here of how I use them. Scrolling down, so these ones, so yeah, the AR article references, the ones that start with BB are. So one of the things I like to do is understand the history of companies that have gone on to be successful, having started out as like a solopreneur or a very small business. And then I'll do a mini bio on it, and quite often I'll include those mini bios in some of my emails. So if I'm sending out, let's say, one of my weekly newsletters, I might put at the bottom of it for inspiration, here's how this person grew from, one person to a significant company. And you can see there's a list of ones there that I can just pick at random. There's one there about Netflix, how Netflix came about. Put another one in there. Snippet, let's say Nike, how they came about. So you can see that there's just snippets of code in there. Snippets of content in there that if I was to try and replicate that every time I want to reference it, it's going to be difficult. So I can just do that using that library of snippets. The other thing about snippets, and this is one of the upsides of keeping things in snippets, is that if you update a snippet, then everywhere that snippet appears, in other words, all the emails that snippet appears in will automatically be updated with whatever changes you make. So if I was to click on this snippet here, this Nike one, and let's say I went and did an update on that one. Let's say I typed something else in there. I'm not going to save this, but if I did, this is an update version. If I saved that, then it means that anywhere that snippet is being used across my Kit account, that updated version will be applied. So I don't need to remember all the different emails it's in. I only need to remember to update the single snippet, and that will broadcast the change to everywhere it exists inside my Kit account. Okay, so that's a few examples of block snippets. Now I'm going to switch over and show you what an inline snippet looks like and give you a couple of examples of that. Okay, so going back to send and snippets. This time I'm going to look at inline snippets. I've got one in here as an example. Okay, now in reality, this is just for demonstration purposes. I don't actually use this, okay, but just to give you some context around how it can be used. So it may look a bit tricky, but once I describe what's going on in here, it all becomes very, very simple to understand. So when I'm looking, when I'm collecting data about my subscribers, I'll ask them a series of questions over a period of time. So it could be over months, and every now and again I might put out something and ask them something about themselves or their business that's going to help me personalize what I share with them. So for this example, let's imagine I asked my subscribers what their hobby was, okay, and I gave them three choices. One was, or let's say it was just two choices in this case. One was golf and the other one was Formula One, right? That's the sport that I like. So they had two options to choose from: golf or Formula One. And of course, the other option was they didn't submit an answer. They didn't engage. Okay. So if I want to reuse that data that I've collected in an email, I can do it using an inline piece of content like this. So I'm going to leave that just now, and I'll come back to that at the moment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my broadcasts, go into an email, and I'm going to insert the snippet inside that one. Okay, so inside this email, I'm now going to click on the little plus button. I'm going to scroll down to where it says snippet. And then I'm going to click on inline at the top here. And this one here, the example that I just described to you, I'm going to insert in here. So let me just duplicate this window and then go back to the snippet so I can jump between one and the other. So remember, inside this snippet, I've got the options here. So what this bit of code is saying is check the subscribers, what they've got against the hobby field in their profile. So where does that show up? Let me just show you. So if I get into subscribers, and these are all fictitious subscribers, of course. But if I get into, let's say, Adam as a subscriber, and I scroll down to the field that says hobby, this one here, you can see it's blank. There is no value. So Adam hasn't told me, hasn't shared with me what his hobby is. Okay. If I choose another subscriber who I happen to know has responded, let's say Dave, and I scroll down to Dave's, where it says hobby and Dave's, I can see that Dave has responded with golf. Okay. And if I do it for a third time, if I scroll down to Anne and see what Anne's hobby is, you can see it's Formula One. So we've got Dave, who's got a hobby of golf. We've got Anne with a hobby of Formula One. And we've got Adam, who hasn't expressed what his preferred hobby or pastime is. So in here, it's saying if the subscriber hobby field is equal to golf, then show that sentence there. However, if the hobby is Formula One, instead of showing that sentence, show that sentence in the email. And then finally, it's just a catch-all. If they haven't told me what their hobby is, and in other words, I don't know, then just put this generic sentence in the email for everyone who hasn't expressed an interest. Now, I know this is a trivial example and it's not one that I use in real life, but hopefully you can see from this the flexibility you've got with regards to personalise the content you share with your subscribers using the power of inline snippets. It could be a more realistic example in my business is if someone, I might ask them, how do you prefer to be referred to? As a solopreneur, as a freelancer, as an entrepreneur? What's that terminology that resonates most with you? And when they tell me that, I can then replace the text in my emails with the title that they prefer to. So I can say, as you know, as a solopreneur, or as you know, as a freelancer, etc. And it just makes it a more personal experience, right? So now that you can see what's going on behind the scenes inside this snippet, let's go back to the email and look to see what it looks like when you send it out. So if I was to preface this with the sound it made stirred an emotional response, and then say like, and then leave it at that. Now, what you can see there is I've got insert in there is the actual snippet. Okay, you can see it's highlighted in blue there. And then I could put another sentence in after that just to show you what it looks like. The rest of the email, ... And then I would sign it down here. Cheers, John, just to give you some context of how it looks when it's inside an email. Now, when I click the preview button here, it will show me a preview of what it's going to look like to the subscriber. Now, because I haven't put a name in, because I haven't selected a subscriber, it's showing me the default response. So it says the sound it made stirred an emotional response, like the sound of a baby laughing uncontrollably as you at you playing peekaboo through cupped hands. Now, if we go back to the snippet, you can see there that's the default. The sound of a baby laughing uncontrollably, etc. That is put in there, the default. Now, if I preview that as a particular subscriber up here, and I put in, let's say, Dave. So remember, Dave was a golf fan. So when I click Dave here, this content down here will change to make it more relevant to Dave. Okay, so now you can see, hello, Dave. An emotional response, like the sound of Rory McIlroy smashing that driver off the first tee at St Andrews. Dave's more likely to resonate with that golfing analogy than he is maybe with the baby laughing at the cupped hands. And then if I change it again to Anne, so this time it's Anne, and you can see the sound it made stirred an emotional response, like the sound of Lewis Hamilton flying around Cops Corner on a Sunday afternoon. So again, that's a relevant sentence to have for Anne because she's a Formula One fan. If you are not a Formula One fan, you probably don't know what Cops Corner is. It's one of the corners at the Silverstone track, the F1 track in England. But Anne will know that because she's a Formula One fan. So I'm making it more relevant, more personal to Anne by having that inline snippet in my email. So that's a simple example of how to use an inline snippet. Hopefully you can see the power of it and how you can potentially use it in your Kit account too. Okay, so I've now shown you what the snippet feature inside Kit is and how you can use it both as a block snippet and as an inline snippet with examples of each. So I hope you find it helpful. I encourage you to go and try using the snippets inside your email. And if you've got any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll be sure to answer you. Thanks for taking the time to watch this, and I'll hope to catch you on the next video. Cheers.